Okay, welcome everyone here in the studio and also online to today's Exist seminar. And it's on upcycled solutions and circular futures. And I'm Daniel Mossberg from CEMUS, Uppsala University. Today we have Sonali Phadke with us online from Studio Alternatives. Welcome to you as well. And you are based in Pune in India. And you are the co-founder of Studio Alternatives, designer, engineer background. I should also say that the Exist seminar is a collaboration between CEMUS, the Center for Environment and Development Studies at Uppsala University, and the Center for Health and Sustainability, also at Uppsala University, and the Center for Multidisciplinary Research on Religion, Uppsala University, and Sofia, Oreland, at the Department of Theology. So, and we're here in the Blåsenhus recording studio. That should also be said before we start. So I think that's enough of an introduction. We have half an hour presentation with you, Sonali, and then 15 minutes, as usual, for discussion after that. So I'll hand the floor over to you.
So I'll just, again, I'm really happy to be here amongst all of you to share our work and our experiences in upcycling, which is one of the very niche fields in the world because recycling in a conventional sense is quite known. But upcycling is a way where we are thinking of extending the life of materials that we've already created. So I've put up a lot of pictures about our work and projects that we've done, and maybe I'll just run you through it, and then we can discuss things in detail later. So I will start the presentation right away. So the first slide, like I said, this is what we believe in. This is a concept of ad hocism, which says that everything can become something else. So a lot of time, things that we have intended, everything that humanity has done is for one-time use. All the designs that we've made, everything somehow has been not designed for repetitiveness or for circularity. And it's a very cradle to grave way of looking at things. Whereas we believe that if we extend the life of things that are already created, that itself is a greener way towards a lifestyle. So this is the photo of our studio that we have built it with our own team. We work extensively in shipping containers, old shipping containers. And I will run you through a lot of pictures on those projects as well. But we have taken the help of shipping containers. This is a kind of a shed. It's a temporary space where we have containers on two sides, and we have done the flooring with reclaimed tiles, reclaimed furniture, and the roof is something that we've added on top. There's a picture also from outside. This is the interior of the containers that we have. This is a space that we are trying to showcase like smaller items that we make. And this is the same space from outside. So we are located in a village in the outskirts of Pune in Maharashtra, India. And this is a village where it's mostly an agricultural landscape. And we are our studio is something that we've built right in the middle of the greens. A lot of people ask us why we are situated in such a remote location. I think that is also the way we look at things. Like we are not a very the pace of our work is not very industrious, or it is not very fast. So the moment we enter the village, it's kind of, it sets the tone for the way we would like to work. So the studio from outside, you can see again, we've used a lot of old doors and windows in the facade in the shed that we've made. And on the left, you see the glass part is the containers. This is our team. We have our own dedicated team of around 8 to 10 people who work with us with the background of carpentry and fabrication. And now, over years, they have picked up all kinds of skill sets because we work in all kinds of materials. Our own team has become very versatile, and they can handle on all kinds of material to work with. This is the Village Connect I was talking about. Since we are a part of the village over here, I don't know how many of you have been to India, but the rural and the urban landscape has a huge difference. And even for the village, when we came, we were new, and they treated us like foreigners. Like for them, probably two women leading a company and handling things on their own was also not something which came easy. So it's a very contrasting way we live in some parts of the world. So the moment we came here, we decided we had to become a part of the whole lifestyle that is there around us. And I started visiting the schools in the village. There are government schools, two of them. And students started coming to us to learn English and other subjects wherever we could help. We started repairing a lot of things for the villagers. So all the agricultural, the machinery and smaller things that were very difficult for them to go outside and get repaired, we started to help them free of cost. And in return, as you can see, they started sharing some compost, some vegetables and other things that, it just became eventually like a community in a real sense. The heart of our work is a scrap library, and like the scrap lab is a bigger concept, but this is the start of everything that we do. So the buckets that you see, these are discarded paint buckets, and we have used them to create a scrap library, which has always been a part of our studio. And the colors and the taping that you see is just to denote what kind of scrap. So for wood, we've used yellow, for example. For plastic, you might have blue, and for fabric, you might have white. So very roughly, we are just trying to make it a very interesting visual, the way we store our scrap. And the thing is, once you start storing similar kind of material in big numbers, then you just start getting ideas. So let's say you are throwing away one pen or a pencil or a bottle or one of anything, you feel that it's useless, and what can you do with it? But when you have those same things in numbers, things start coming to you. Again, the core of our company or the work that we do has been extensive experimentation. So like the background that you see, this is the waste leftovers from our containers. And then people used to challenge that, is, I mean, what can happen with this level of waste? It's too small, it's too odd shaped, it's, very, very, very uneven to work with. But then even with that waste, which everybody had sort of denied to work with, we started making some useful things, and we started putting things together aesthetically. And then you again have something functional which you had not thought about before. Broadly speaking, our work is in four kind of verticals. So one is the container spaces that we do. We are using old discarded shipping containers. We get them from our nearby port in Mumbai, and we modify them to make luxurious, very comfortable living spaces. Another part of our business that has been upcycle solutions. So it's not that we have a shop or anything, but we work with projects. So again, I'll run you through a lot of examples. It's mostly furniture, interior decoration items, installations. We also conduct a lot of workshops where we feel that the work that we do needs to reach out to more and more people. So from school children to corporates, a lot of team building exercises, everything happens around the concept of upcycling and scrap and reusing material. We also started a foundation a few years back, and that was the reason where we thought, we need the core of our subject is waste management. The core of our subject is working with discarded material. And somewhere in the whole business idea of things, the basics were being left out, where we need to do life cycle analysis of materials, mapping of material, behavior change and related things that we need to tackle with from basics. So we also have started a foundation which can help us get CSR funds or philanthropic funds, where we can work with all these areas. Next few slides are about the work that we do. Detailing and quality is of utmost essence in upcycling, because it should not look like something which you don't want to possess. So it should be as good as any new product that you would buy in the market because you love it. So on the left is some PVC pipes which are leftovers. We have collected them from construction sites, and they were lying there in the debris, and they have been reclaimed to make this pipeline series of lamps. This is a slide which shows what can happen with the potential of paper. It's simply newspaper. The lamps that you see on top have been with us for more than 10 years now, and they are in excellent quality, and there's nothing wrong with those lamps. Maybe we've had to change the bulb, but not the lamp. So a lot of times we underestimate the life of materials, because newspaper is something people perceive to be of very low, less life. But once you start working with it, I mean, every material has so much potential. Below what you see is paper mache. I mean, we've used egg crates, we've used newspapers, and we've made a lot of items with it. These are rags. So this is a project that we are taking up separately in a bigger way, working with fashion industry waste. So these are discarded cloth, I mean fabric, which is new fabric. So these are leftovers that come from boutiques and tailors. And because they are smaller pieces, they are discarded. And we are collecting them and we are working to create mainstream solutions with lifestyle, fashion, and different products that we can make with these. Like you see, the picture on the left became a curtain, and there is an actual curtain, and it's a container home. Inside the container home, we put up our own upcycled curtain. Foil wrappers, or this is MLP, which is called as multi-layer plastic. It's one of the biggest issues in waste management because you have these two materials fused together, aluminium and plastic. And though that we have adequate technology to make this wonderful material, we have somehow failed the world in finding solutions to separate the material. So these evidently go to landfill, and there are very few choices that we have in terms of reclaiming any material properties from this. So there are a few examples like waste to fuel, or I mean plastic to fuel, but these techniques need to be more questioned, and we don't have really a great solution for MLP. So with that too, we have tried out some projects. Coconut shell, again, it's a very interesting, waste because we have abundant coconut in India, being a tropical country, and it's a very sturdy, beautiful material, and it just goes away in waste. It's a very hard material, like the lamp you see on the right, which is we've used bamboo and coconut and a piece of wood. So the design has been sort of, the design is final, and the little bit of iterations are possible with the base that we use. So every time the product looks different because of the size and shape of the bamboo and the coconut, but we can repeat this design. In the middle that you see, we had done like a mock-up for a hotel or a restaurant where they wanted something in the ceiling using coconut shells. Glass bottles, again, is a very versatile material. On the right, you see we have also used audio cassettes. It's like a temporary partition we had done in our own studio. We've used bottles vertically, we've used them horizontally. Everything that you see in this picture has been reclaimed, like the wood. We've cut glass bottles and we use them to drink water. We've made chandeliers, a lot of installations. This is a close-up of one of the chandeliers. Plywood and laminate is another waste that we get abundantly because of the number of interior sites that happen all around you. So this is something that we get, it comes in a very bad shape because we collect it in sort of a debris, and a lot of cleaning needs to be done to use these pieces. Again, when we are working with carpenters, they are not very happy to work with smaller pieces and join them because, they are so used to working with 8x4 ply, or something which comes in bigger sizes, and it's much easier to design with it. But I mean, we like the birdhouses you see on top, we've made at least 200 or 250 birdhouses. Every birdhouse is different because every time the scrap that we get is different. This was another project where we've used old gears. Only Vimal is like, this is a brand in India where it's a clothing brand, and they wanted this kind of a clock in all their stores. So they came to us and we said that, we can make this with scrap, but they wanted it to be same for all the stores. And we said that it is not possible because in scrap, I cannot guarantee I get the same scrap. We can have the same form, but we may not have the same exact parts that we assemble together. So they took some time, but somebody in the top management liked the idea, and then we made 50 clocks for this company. These are some like just experiments. It's a lamp for a boutique where we've used the old sewing machine and we've just added a lampshade. It's not our own design because people get a lot of ideas also from Pinterest. So, but it's a design that we've followed because the owner liked it. Again, some of our experiments where we've used furniture leftovers, like these are channels from drawers and the furniture that we make, plywood lamps, and those are bicycle spokes and the gear chain of a bicycle on the top. You have bird cages where we've put plastic around a bird cage to make it into a lamp. These are again some the scrap that comes from, what do you say? This is scrap from packaging. The white, the things that you see, they were vinyl and flex rolls to keep them safe. This is used as end packaging, and we collected a lot of it. On the right, what you see is a fused thin plastic that we have tried to make into a lamp. So this is a little bit sketchy, but it can be made into a finished product. Reclaimed wood furniture. This is a one-time furniture because this is the scrap that we found with just one time. It cannot be repeated, but it can make very unique pieces. On the right, what you see is a motherboard wall cladding. So we have used some motherboards, and the color of the motherboard is the original one. It has not been painted again, but it has become a beautiful cladding. This is a broken boat that we restored to make into a signage. So there was a project for a seafood restaurant, and they wanted some elements which have something to do with the sea and the fish. So this is a boat. When we got it, it was in a very horrible state. Again, it was carved out of a single log, but because it was so broken, they were going to burn it off. And at that stage, we got it to the studio, and then it has been as a signage for a very long time. The wall coverings and furniture is something that we've done for L'Oreal. So with L'Oreal, again, they have a factory in Pune, and they wanted their shed to be converted into a sports kind of a arena for their employees. And they wanted to hide this shed. So with their own cardboard and newspapers, and then we've done a lot of art over it because it is a research facility that they work on. So we've made artwork that also denotes, something to do with molecules and something which is interesting. We've done a lot of furniture again for them, interiors. And this is an interesting cafe. The whole concept was to have everything upcycled, including furniture and decor. So the tiles have been restored to make the tabletops. Every chair in this restaurant is different because we went to the old market and we restored a lot of chairs. So no two chairs might be same, but the owner was perfectly fine with it. And we've used denim to make the seat covers. We've used fan grills to make the lamps. We've used pine wood to make the artwork on the wall, which she can keep changing whenever she likes. So this is the same restaurant on the ground floor. We've used a lot of glass bottles and the staircase is also made from reclaimed wood. We've been doing some interesting work. Like you saw in the first few photos, we have a lot of old doors and windows that we get, and we try to salvage them. So this concept, a lot of people like it. So this is the top floor terrace, and they wanted to have a music room for themselves. So we created this. This can be dismantled. So all these 4 surfaces have been assembled on the terrace, and it was done in a couple of days that they started using the space. Now comes the main part of our vertical, which is the container homes. So a lot of pictures in this. I would love to run you through it. On the left, the photo that you see is an empty container, a 40-feet container. And on the right, it is the same container that has been converted into a farmhouse. And then this is the same container from outside because the owner incidentally was very fascinated with the Scandinavian cabins. And we kept telling him that in a tropical climate, it won't stay the way it looks on day one, but he was fine with it. So we've clad the whole thing with pine wood. This is a project where we've made classrooms joining 2 40-feet containers. So the school kids were very amused because in the morning when we came, the school was just about getting started. And by the time the school was done, the containers were right there in place. And we just joined them in the middle. And this is how it looks later. It's been converted into 2 classrooms, small library, small cabin for the teachers. This is another project where it's quite interesting. We worked with this NGO, and they work with rehabilitation of kids who have been begging at traffic signals. And this is one of the biggest traffic signal in Mumbai, in Thane. And they tried rehabilitation of these kids by sending them into municipality schools. But because they were all migrants and they had no sense of home, they kept running away. So then the municipality with this NGO, they decided that they will take the school to the children. So they gave them a place under the flyover, and now this place is completely bustling with a lot of educational activities. I mean, it's a place you must visit if you're around, because they have done phenomenal work with all this upliftment of these migrant children. This is the same space. So this space was done with very low cost, and I mean zero profits, of course, because it was for the cause. We've made very interesting snakes and ladders kind of a thing from the outside, where we painted it ourselves, so that because it's a magnetic surface, I mean, because it's a steel surface, basically, the kids can also engage from the outside with magnets and play snakes and ladders. These are two 40-feet containers, a small 8-feet block in the middle, which is like a playgroup space. It's called the Jungle Express. So they wanted to make it like a train using shipping containers. This is how the space looks from inside. These are some farmhouses that we've been making. These are two containers we've joined. They have a beautiful view of the river in the front. These are again 3 containers, 1 on bottom, 2 on top. This space is quite actually, it's quite useful to make it into a tiny home, because these are 2 containers when we join side by side. From the inside, this is how the space looks. On the right-hand side, you have the washroom, you have the living space. On the back, from where the picture is taken, you have the kitchen, you have a dining space, and it's quite, it's kind of a studio apartment, which it was completely adequate for 2 or even 4 people if you want for a shorter period. This is again one of our projects using 3 containers with a deck and a roof on top. And we've used the furniture that the client had. So they had a lot of beautiful wooden pieces, and we sort of arranged it for them in this home. We've designed a bigger washroom for them because it's a tinier space. They can get completely ready and come outside step outside in the container. So the wardrobe section is inside the washroom area. This is a space for us which has traveled not more than, but 2000 kilometers from Pune. It is installed in Dehradun in the Himalayan region. And this is how it looks from inside. So it took us around 6 days to travel by road to reach here, and another 6 days to just join the whole thing on site. This is a space which is like a work pod. It has 2.5 containers. It's on stilts, and it faces the mountain, so a lot of glass in the study area. So this is once you enter, you have 2 arms with the 2 containers and a deck in the middle. And again, it's a very self-sustaining space with a kitchen, dining, living, study, bedroom, everything that can be fitted inside 2.5 containers. And because they have a nice view, they wanted full glass towards the study. This is an interesting project we've done for a German couple who have settled in Pune, and they like the concept of using old doors and windows. So it's a huge house that we've made for them. It's on their farm. This is one of our biggest projects with 6 containers. It's a courtyard home, which is very typical you find in conventional Indian context of architecture. So we have used 6 containers. As you can see here, for containers, we don't need a plinth. All we need is columns on which the containers can rest. And the plinth that you see is for the additional areas like decks and balconies and other things that we add. So again, this place has a beautiful view of the river behind. This is a bedroom which has been made by joining two containers side by side. So it's a huge a bedroom which is 20 feet by 16 feet. And this is the courtyard feature I was talking about. It's an open to sky home where in the middle you have a courtyard. So, you can assemble and people can just hang around in the courtyard. You have 2 bedrooms on 2 sides. You have a kitchen on one side. This is the entry where this is the part that we've extended using just fabrication. It's not a shipping container, but we've used old doors to create the windows on the left. And the other bedroom. And this is the kitchen, which is inside one single 20 feet container. So they wanted a big kitchen for themselves. Washrooms. This home specifically I've added because it shows the movability of our spaces. So when we were on a rented property. This is these are 3 containers on the bottom. And because we were on a rented property, we had to move and to trailers. And now this is the final destination where they are arranged in a little different manner with a 3rd container added on the side. And because this is our in-house project, it has a lot of reclaimed material also in the interiors, like almost 60-70% material over here, what you see has been reclaimed. So now comes the next part. We conduct a lot of workshops. Like I said, we work with different age groups. We work with school children. We work with corporates. We work with groups who want to come and learn with us. We've done some courses on designing for sustainability. And we've also worked with a lot of college students, like design and architecture students, where they learn sustainable design. And then with the foundation work, we've done a lot of campaigns. This is one of the quilt campaign where in India, because, saris, most women wear saris. And we collect the old saris and we've made quilts and donated them. COVID relief support was something entirely different, nothing to do with upcycling. But these are some beautiful 15 saris, and we had 15 women from all various backgrounds, from rack pickers to industrialists and philanthropists and teachers who became a part of this campaign to talk about the importance of reuse. This is the scrap library that we have also put up in one of the schools. Again, Art for a Cause was project where we had children donate their paintings, and then we have put it up in a hospital in a pediatric ward as we've upcycled the frames and put it up. In Stitch Lab, we are also trying to use the skill of rural women, where we can stitch like we've stitched milk packets, we've stitched rubber, the tire tubes, fabric, jute, rice bags, a lot of things that we can stitch. This is a concept where we want to work on having eco galleries. It can be part of schools or corporates where, all the time you see something which is creatively upcycled around you, which can also act as a motivation. And then coming towards the end, so this is where we are today. And with CEMUS, with Daniel, we have been working on some collaborations where we want to work with, first of all, having a scrap library in CEMUS in Uppsala University. We are going to get into probably educational programs, joint events. We would also like to have students come over to us in Pune if they want to come and learn with us. Probably develop a lot of courses where we talk about designing for sustainability. Then we have some events and projects that we could, together apply for. And to start with, these are a few projects that we've shortlisted. So the Uppsala Uncontained Collaboratory is a concept where we want to work with containers in all possibility. If it goes through, then we can have a space where it can be a cultural hub and a maker space. It's basically a flexible space in the university, and it could be made with containers which can be moved. So, we are not committed to making an unmovable space, basically. Again, having a scrap library on campus, and it can also be on a bus or a bike, and an initiative, where we can, it can interact with the community, and we can get the library to the students if they can't come to us, and we can collaborate on a lot of inspiring ideas wherever we take the bus. And then we are also applying for a few projects like the waste map with students also in Uppsala. We have tried to work, we are trying to propose projects where we can also work with students on mapping the waste and like what generally happens to waste after you are throwing it. And can we map it in detail? And let's say for Uppsala, if a dustbin in Uppsala, can you kind of deconstruct and see where each and every thing turns out to be? Like, will plastic go to landfill? Will it be recycled? Will it, go to some other country for recycling? So whether we can have all this mapping in place, and it can be a very great research project, basically.
So we have roughly 10 minutes for questions and comments, and then you can write your comments, questions in the chat, and then Molly, my colleague here in the studio, I'll read them aloud for us. But I wanted to start off and just add a couple of bits to what you said here at the end and the collaboration we have. So it's a smaller working group team that we have, Sonali and myself, but also then an Uppsala student, Hilda Johansson, who took the project course at CEMUS last semester, and Stephanie Foote, who's here as a Fulbright professor at the Swedish Institute for North American Studies at Uppsala University as well. But she's based also in Vermont, University of Vermont. So it is a 3 cities, 3 parts of the world collaboration in that sense as well. Was there something else? Yeah, and I also wanted to, I realized this while you were having your presentation as well, that usually we present research here and research that has started or research that has been completed and might have some kind of effect out there in the world. In this presentation, it's the other way around, that you have something, you have your work, and we want to get researchers, but also teachers in this as well. Yeah. So, but we'll open up to comments and questions if there's anything on Zoom. Otherwise, I have a question as well. Should we go into that thing also around research more specifically? Because we had different ideas that we have been working on in our different meetings. So you do want to say something more about that? We talked also about a couple of things when you were here in last autumn as well.
The base mapping, you mean?
Yeah, the base mapping, we also talked about an app. We talked about life cycle analysis and all sorts of things. And also the waste map that we have put in a proposal to a student project with students as well here in Uppsala.
Right. So, I mean, with upcycling, what we are trying to do is, like I said, you're trying to extend the things of materials that you've already given birth to. So it is very interesting because recycling right now is a very inadequate technology in itself. Like probably only 20 to 30% of things are actually recycled in the world. And it is a very dismal, statistics that we have. So a lot of research needs to go in what we call as our green habits, or what is correct behavior. So a lot of times we intend well, but we don't know what is the correct course of action. For example, when I'm trying to, let's say, save food in a plastic container. So I might save food, but what happens to the plastic container after my food is finished? Does it reach actually the end of life in some recycling facility, or does it just become waste and garbage as landfill? Then is it better that you have food waste, which is composted, instead of creating plastic waste, which doesn't have a solution right now? So it's just a small example, but I feel we need to get into more practical outlook of what is better behavior. And we might have to get into something, we will have to use technology, because a lot of our modern problems are somewhere with the technological pace of advancement of things. So probably it's a lot to process. Like people don't want all the time to be told what to do. So it should also be very straightforward and simple. So we were thinking about creating something like an app where with AI and the latest technology, you take a picture and does it show you the right way how to get rid of the material, or what are the possibilities? Can it go somewhere for reuse, for upcycling, for recycling? Can it be a part of a library where somebody else can use it even if you don't want to use it? So this whole concept can be closely worked upon. Daniel, have I missed something?
No, there's probably a ton of other things that we talked about. So, but we're also in the early stages. I mean, we started this group in November, December, something. So it's still early. And apart from collaborations, we're also looking for funding in different ways, or applying for outreach research funding as well. Yes, I can see that we have a question on the chat since it popped up here. So, Molly.
Okay, thank you so much, Sonali. We have a comment here in the chat. Very inspiring presentation. I wonder if you could say a little about how you experience reactions to this type of initiative. Even if it's those who are early adapters, strong believers who are clients, or are you seeing signs that upcycling has potential to become more mainstream? So what are the reactions, and does this have any potential to become mainstream?
For sure, right now it is quite a niche area, which is experimental, because right now, like Daniel said, some of the projects that we want to conduct, like we want to have a scrap library or a scrap lab in CEMUS at Uppsala, because then collectively, probably we need to come up with solutions. Like as studio alternatives, probably we have maybe 50 solutions right now. But like I said, we've never designed anything for second use. And it is not the job of one person or one designer or one company to come up with solutions for things that we've created unless it becomes a part of the system. So when we talk to students, a lot of time they ask us, then why aren't things designed sustainably? I mean, why do I have to worry about what happens to things? So till we go back there, probably collectively we have to come up with solutions which can be stopgap, which can be something that if there is enough momentum, things can become mainstream. But otherwise, right now it is more of people, like if you talk to people in India, a lot of times people who upcycle are doing it maybe for economic reasons and not for ecological reasons. You know, when you buy something secondhand, you're trying to save money and not the ecology, actually. So till this mindset changes, that something which is reused is also ecologically, sustainable and aesthetic and good looking, and there is nothing wrong with it functionally, then maybe, the mindset changes. But right now, you don't find people reusing things unless they are short of money. So it's a long way to go, but more and more people, as they get aware and alert about sustainable practices, we definitely have a lot of motivation to keep working in this field.
Thank you. We have another question also. Sofia Oreland says, thank you. We heard all, which is nice to hear. Can you please elaborate a bit on the structure collaboration with designers, companies? What kind of companies are buying your products? And are there people in the rural areas who are doing the practical work? I hope this kind of work will be growing in the future. So what is your collaboration with designers and companies, and who are buying the products?
So with a lot of our projects are customized. Like I said, we don't have a shop and we don't have something where we are selling something that we are making, but people come with their scrap and we design things from their own scrap for them most of the times. So it is put back in the system with the same client many times, like you saw the case with Mercedes or with L'Oreal. So with L'Oreal also, they gave us their old furniture and we refurbished, we repaired, and we made it as good as new and gave it back to them for their office. So with corporates, probably as a part of their CSR, they have a lot of initiatives in sustainability. We have to relook at what can be a sustainable practice. There are other things like dealing with wet waste in terms of composting and having better solutions. So dry waste, wet waste, we have to look at it in a different way. A lot of Right now we are talking more about materials, but it is also about saving energy. So getting into solutions which are also energy efficient and having to work with that. So our clients right now are people with projects which have some, in most cases, they have something that they want to reclaim, they want to reuse, or they want us to do something, and we put it back for them. With designers and students, I think it is very important to keep in discussion this topic, because even right now, mainstream education is talking about new material. You're talking about working with plywood and laminates and other tiles and everything which is completely new, and the life cycle is not great. I mean, it is going to go into debris and in one at one point. So if at an early age, we go with the emphasis of choosing the right material, of making the right choices in terms of design, pushing the concept of circularity from the beginning, then these people will be better designers and architects and practicing, people in their own field. So this has to come on very early on in education, where sustainability cannot be a subject which is, by choice or something. It has to be a part of your curriculum because it exists for all professions. So it's really good to work with students of all backgrounds. Yeah, I hope I answered the question.
I think you did.
Okay.
I thought it was a very good answer. So maybe we have time for one final question. Jill writes, thank you so much, Sonali. What fabulous ideas for upcycling. These containers could be so useful in areas with housing crisis. I look forward to following how CEMUS could reproduce these ideas here. What do you anticipate will be the biggest challenges here in Sweden?
With Sweden, we have design-wise, we can design it for the cold climate. In India, we are designing for the hot climate. Like we need to keep them cooler. For Sweden, I think we have to design for the cold climate conditions. But the containers have been used. I mean, once you think of containers, you start seeing them everywhere around you. Because when I was in Sweden, suddenly I saw there are containers around you, and it is something that people are familiar with. So it can be something which can be easily adapted for mainstream solutions like you can have housing, you can have classrooms, you can have spaces which are for multiple like we said, the uncontained project that we are talking about. So I think the biggest hitch right now is to work with the logistics. So design part is not a hitch. So we have to work with the right way of getting this done. Can it be done locally in Uppsala? Can it be sourced from India? Can it be a combination of things? And then how do we figure out the funds for, I mean, the most practical problem end of the day is the funding, where if we have somebody who's really interested in it, I mean, we can, I don't see the design part of it as a challenge right now, because we've also designed something for Canada for minus 40 degrees, and the design is in place because containers are universally used. Like all around the globe, you will find containers in most countries being used.
Yes, and I think that's everything we have time for today. So I'm just going to say I'm going to do a QR code and contact info below when we post this on YouTube. And then we're back May 8th with our last guest for this spring. And you can find that on CEMUS webpage and also other sources and channels. So thanks again, Sonali, and thanks, Malin, and thanks everybody here in the studio that worked with the technology, and all of you online.
Thank you so much.